Hello, Chris.
Good afternoon, Ashish.
Thank you
Well
for joining.
today?
Yes, doing very well today. Thank you for joining us again today in our series of podcast focusing on increasing productivity and sharing the results that people have received using our tools and the training that have been provided. So one of the things that we had discussed in our previous communication is about tracking communication. And in the survey that you have shared, you have spoken about the increase in tracking communication. And the percentage increase is about 52%. Could you share more details on what is the tracking communication really means and how this 52% increase is really measured?
Well, I think there are many forms of communication from the business point of view, is the conversation you and I might have. And then I promise to do something, go away and come back with you with some information to have another conversation. So I guess part of that tracking is me getting back to you on time with the information I said I was going to get back to you with. And how do I manage that and so on. I think there's also email and again, tracking conversations. How often do we say to people, I'll get back to you with some information on this, or I'll follow up with that, or I want to check on a conversation that we've just had, or a series of conversations that we've just had. And then, of course, more recently, Teams and through posting and chatting and video conferencing. So it's really tracking. I say something, promise you something. You say something, promise me something. So that's part of that tracking. And I also see it from the point of view of where did I put that information and how do I find it when I want to get back to you on time? So flagging emails in the inbox is a sample that comes to mind that people often use as a way of trying to remember about a conversation they're tracking.
Right.
But yes, I think that's really what we mean by the tracking communications.
Right. So often people, and these are real problems that we face, that people discuss something, then there is a follow-up, whether they have done it or not. And if there's an email, they have not replied. How is this being really changed in an organization when it comes to tracking the communication? Is it using the tools, or is it a change in behavior? How does it really impact?
Well, ideally, yes. That's exactly what needs to happen. However, there are problems. There's the volume of information that's flowing, and keeping track when you're with volume becomes challenging. So just give you an example. Inbox. I get 100 emails a day, and maybe I got 5 or 6 from you, maybe 7, and I need to follow up or do something, get back to you. You need to get back to me, and we've got a conversation happening back and forth there. So if you start having hundreds and hundreds of email in your inbox, you begin to start scrolling up and down. So people say, oh, well, okay, to help me, I will create some folders and I'll start putting stuff in folders. But I better start putting a reminder on it so I can remind myself to get back with them. So I'll tag it with a reminder, might even flag it with a flag. But even then, I still, the reminder can be useful in the sense that a time it flashes up on my screen to tell me perhaps to get back to a person. But then I might discover also that there's a tool in Outlook. So if I'm using Outlook as my email tool, called conversation threads, so you can track conversations. So we've got back and forth, but emails might be in different places, might be in my sent items, might be in my inbox, might be in my Ashish folder. And so I've got 3 places where I've got to try and find that stuff and then knit it together, if you like. So show as conversation, which is a tool. When I click on that, little triangle appears against an email, indicates to me there's a thread of emails related to that particular email. Oh my goodness, say a lot of people on the train, they say, I never knew that. Oh, that can be very, very useful. So I think for many people, it's unaware of some really efficient and effective ways to manage information, to make it easy to track and find and follow up. So yes, I think that we did definitely a need to modify. The volume's high. You just now Teams, the number of people that say to me, "Oh my gosh, all these posts that come in on a daily basis in particular channels that I belong to, and even in the chat side of things, how am I meant to track all this stuff? But without having to scroll up and down through all these different channels and inboxes and on it goes. So many are rather perplexed about efficient ways of doing that. So the Working Smart program, hey, we've got to get a bit smart about this. So we start showing them, demonstrating them. Here's the process around, of when I say tracking information, storing. We'll talk about this shortly. Storing information, where to find it easily, get back to people on time. So the ability to be able to, I can convert an email into a task and manage it off a task list. That task list could be related to other task lists that happen to exist in Teams. So I following up on chats and conversations there, and I'm start to manage my communications in a different way than perhaps I do currently, relying on folders or going to multiple sources of where the information might be stored and piecing it together. So that 50-something% improvement is no surprise to me, because for many, they're bereft of ideas about how to do that efficiently, effectively. And in the Working Smart training, converting even just the simple converting an email into a task and managing it from a task list, converting a post or a channel post or a chat when there's an action to be taken into a task. That in itself is a big one. Using conversation threads in terms of, I can track conversations from an Outlook perspective. And storing information in appropriate places, not getting caught up in the trap of lots and lots of folders. Just some of the processes and the tools around that alone accounts for that 51% change in behavior. Now, why do people change behavior? Because it makes life easier, and they go, oh gosh, this is a lot easier now when it comes to finding stuff. Now, the big one, and I haven't even touched on it yet, is using search tools. And many people are still caught in the past where if I put it in a box over there and I remember the box, I'll be able to go and search that box compared to this box over here. And you're sitting there saying, no, you don't even need to put them in a box necessarily if you know how to use the search tool. And I'm also very surprised how many people don't really know how to use it well. And in fact, many people I've worked with don't have a positive attitude towards the power of search tools. And yet when you talk to them when it comes to Outlook, say, for example, or Microsoft Teams, but when you talk to them about Google search, oh yeah, that's really cool. I can type in the word and I can keep typing in words and it keeps refining the search. And I said, well, most search tools, they sort of work that way now. But there's some techniques. And one of the techniques I teach you using the search function in Outlook is when you put, I'm going to find an email from Ashish. So I type in Ashish in the search window. I'll make sure it's searching all folders and not just a folder. And then I might put a semicolon space. And what was the email to do with? It was to do with sign off for a new direct marketing campaign. So I might put in there DM, because that's a symbol where you might use September campaign. In inverted commas, there's the email. And so this ability to be able to, the semicolon creates a search within a search. And I can use double speech marks for phrases and searching for phrases. And some people go, I didn't know that. When I'm in Teams, for example, if I right click on the search window, or I use the / I go into the search window and press this / key, it gives me about 50 options of how to search. You want to search for a file, you want to search for a photo, you want to search for a chat. And so that really speeds up the whole processes of searching. And that's a game breaker, that whole search function, knowing how to use that well, then changes how you then think about storing information and where you store it. So yes, I'm not surprised by the 51% improvement. Search function alone accounts for a fair bit of that, as well as what I previously just spoke about.
All right.